Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm one of the co-founders of Boba Guys. To me, I think both Ben and I think Boba Guys is not really just a product or drink company. People would say that, obviously, but we think of ourselves as more of like a culture and experience company because we have so many people who come and they meet here, they meet their girlfriend or spouse here. If you're non-Asian, you're like trying boba usually for the first time. If you are Asian, you drink horchata or an agua fresca for the first time. So I think we're more of like a cultural experience. And our line is kind of crazy. So like people are like, oh, what's it like getting through a Boba Guys line? Because today is a Sunday. And I mean, probably it's gonna be 45-minute waits. So it's gonna be kind of crazy. We were a pop-up and we were like, let's just do something fun. And back then, there wasn't anything that was like Boba Guys, as we now know it. We used to go to Wonderful Foods, we'd go to other boba shops, and we were like, could we do our own? And so we did it. And at the time, maybe the company that inspired us the most was Blue Bottle. So we don't want to rip off Blue Bottle, especially Asian people ripping off something, like that would be a stereotype. What we wanted to do was change the way people thought about boba. And so, for me, I grew up in New Jersey and in the Bay Area, and Ben grew up in Texas. And we were always like told Asian, or pigeonholed a little bit, where Asian drinks or Asian food in restaurants were, you didn't know how people made it. You would never see how they make something. We felt like maybe we could change that. But people were like, well, did you know Boba Guys was gonna be big, or you built it for a giant corporation? I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, we did Boba Guys part-time for 3 years. So that'll tell you we didn't know what was going to happen. It was all like, the community and a lot of luck, a lot of just good, like fortuitous circumstances that fell into our lap. So I think Boba Guys is, I would say, the experience of this, even to this day, it's been 7, almost 8, going on to 8 years, is that it was just two friends who had the same vision of changing perceptions, and that evolved into what we now call bridging cultures. I would say our quality and our culture. I mean, even then people try to copy our quality nowadays. They're like, I use the same milk as Boba Guys, I use the same type of teas and quality of teas. That's probably true. So I would say more and more, our culture is very different, our voice is very different. I think you could find a strawberry matcha latte almost anywhere. It's been around and people copied that, and I'm very flattered actually. That's where I'm not very Asian. Like, I don't really get mad when people copy me because I look at Apple, I look at Nike, like that's very flattering. I was making sure that it didn't exist. I Googled strawberry matcha latte. That barely existed. And especially the way we did it with the layers in it, nobody did it that way. And so I was like, oh, I think we have something here, and it's really pretty and it tastes really good. So that's what makes us different as culture. I think I can go on and on. I think less and less is about product. It's more about our cultures that's different, our vision's different. I wish more Asians actually got in front of the camera and owned their voice a little more. And there's some in LA that are friends in Portland. They're amazing. Those are the people we kind of support and gravitate to. Mm-hmm. I don't tell people like kiss the ring. Like, that's kind of obnoxious. But I do know that we now are kind of like the leaders. People listen to what we say, and so there's a lot of people who always ask, should I do this with my business? And then I don't tell anybody to do anything specifically, but I see them adopt similar practices, and that to me makes me way more like satisfied as a person and as a business person and a leader than like anything else I do. So I'm even more proud of culture. So it's also like what makes us different. It's also what I'm proud of. So it's culture. For me, it started in high school because I didn't really see myself as too Asian when I was in Jersey. I was very aware I was Asian, but there wasn't the pride there. Kind of, maybe it's two phases. One was I saw big inspirations. I was a huge Jackie Chan fan too. Yeah. Everybody likes Sing Long. It's like, I grew up with that, and there's another movie or franchise called Guakzai. It's Young and Dangerous. It's like the gangster. Yeah. One of the best of all time. Sangai, like my favorite character, probably in almost all of cinema. Was always drawn to these rebel or very Asian characters, like Jackie Chan and his kung fu. Asian gangster. It was like that or, Italian mafia, right? In Jersey at least. And I think I was like, there's culture there. And so what I really liked, I went to Cal at Berkeley, and Berkeley is a very a little bit of a SJW school, like social justice. And when I switched out of pre-med, I switched over, my first major to declare was actually sociology. It was before I declared business and I actually did sociology. As I was doing sociology and learning about different theories and then evolution of kind of culture and civilizations, you realize how special that each culture is. And that's when I was like, Asian American culture, maybe I should look into that. So then the Pride came out, I think maybe at the end of college, and then Wong Fu made some videos, and then right after that, I was a corporate guy, and I was pretty good at what I did. I was doing marketing, and then there were very few Asians in marketing, so I was kind of figure out my edge. I was always the good data guy in marketing. Then the YouTube generation came, and that's when I really was like, holy crap, there's this huge pocket of culture that I relate to. So it was Wong Fu, Ryan Higa, Kev Jumba, all these guys. That was not Jackie Chan, that was not Asian gangsters. And then Fast and Furious, Justin Lin, Better Luck Tomorrow. So I would remember watching Better Luck Tomorrow in Shattuck Cinema in Berkeley, downtown, and nobody was watching. It was me and my friend and nobody else. And now, I know some of these guys, and it's like, dude, you've inspired me. In the last 5 years, Boba Guys really took off. I became maybe a little bit of a business leader because I cracked the bamboo ceiling. I was one of the ones that got promoted really fast in that. And people are like, if you're Asian and you're supposed to be really quiet and introverted, I'm like, well, that's more Jersey side. I'm not really quiet, I'm not very introverted, I'm very extroverted. And I got promoted really fast, and I was really young always in my career because I was maybe broke the mold. And so I talk about bamboo ceiling a lot. And I encourage a lot of my mentees or people who would like to ask for me for advice on how to push through that, including you guys or anybody watching this. I'm very passionate about it. And so my business partner, he's not like that. He's the most not type A person out there. But he keeps me grounded because sometimes, it's hard to keep a big personality in check. So he's like, yo, my wife or Ben, my co-founder, is like, you should turn it, yeah. And I'm like, all right. Yeah. So over the years, I've kind of learned to adapt, but the Asian American, the API stuff became through that. And then I started getting recognized for it, and that's when I was like, all right, I gotta really do I make an intentional thing for it? Because now we work with the government. It's just been one wild ride. So I would say maybe the umbrella answer for that is, it was very organic, but it was little bits and pieces of
that you picked up along
culture and activism that picked up along the way. And then it kind of culminated into my ability to kind of turn it around because I'm now older and then push it down. And I hope I'm maybe the Wong Fu that I inspire businesses. That's why I do the What's Up Wednesdays. People don't see my side of it. I get all these people slide into my DMs about that and all that. And I'm like, that's a lot. I think it's about 100 to 200 businesses and they're like that. And you can see it in the comments. Sometimes they say I don't know, I've never been to your shop, but I really like the way you run your business. We talk about this all the time. You mentioned Wong Fu. Mm-hmm. Phil, Taylor, Wes, love those guys. We've actually talked a lot about culture with them or Fung Bros. We're all friends, and we talk about culture a lot. And I think they're way better at it. For me, I'm doing food, but food is still culture, right? Food, fashion, entertainment, lifestyle. It's all culture. And one of the things that I think Asian American or Phil, and they call it yappy, right?
Yeah.
It used to be, your parents came to America and you should make the best of their experience by making them proud and becoming a banker, a doctor, an accountant, or whatever. Because that security that your parents didn't have is now what you have, which makes them feel proud. I would say that's probably not true. It used to be true. I don't think that's currently true. What now, it was what my dad said to me. They came from China. He came from Communist Revolution China. He fled. He was taken from his family to work on the farms when he was 16. He swam. He was a freedom swimmer. He swam to Hong Kong. Came here as a refugee, and he's from Guangzhou. Mm-hmm. And he told me, Zai Zai, he calls me Zai Zai, Andrew, if I came to America for freedom, or what he would translate it for freedom, and to kind of explore what you want, if I make you into a doctor, I went to Berkeley to be a doctor. I was originally a pre-med, and then I did business. Like, that wasn't why I came here. I came here so you could do anything you want. It's like, I'm guessing, I don't think Phil's ever said it, but I'm not gonna put words in anybody else's mouth.
Yeah.
But I'm sure like the YouTube artists, their parents are actually probably happy that they did so well in YouTube, or you doing photo, because that's why they came here. And I think that that needs to go into Asian American thoughts a lot more. Your parents didn't come here so you could be an accountant and go after stability. It used to be the case. I don't think that's the case anymore. You now come to America so you actually live a dream and fulfill a dream that you could never have had. This is where my corporate side comes out. I have like a list of my priorities.
Yeah.
Number one is I got to open 3 stores in the next 2 months.
Wow.
Which is why I'm a little stressed. That's number one. Number two is the boba factory. We have a factory in Hayward now that we make our boba in the United States, which was the first in our partner. And you know, it's just, how do you convince people that the boba that we've been drinking that for like 3 decades, there's a better version of it now. That's a hard thing to pull off too.
Yeah.
Number 3 is the book.
Can you be slightly more in depth about the book?
Yeah. So we'll kind of do our book tour sometime end of next year, but basically it's coming out from a year from now. So it'll probably be winter, spring 2020 now, because it's like a lot of cold drinks, so you want it for springtime. So it's like the food publisher.
Yeah.
And our editor, Francis Lam, is the best. Probably, I learned so much about culture from him, and the way he writes and the way he talks. We have one of the best writers on who's co-writing with us. So his name is Richard Parks. He wrote for Lucky Peach. He's amazing. And our photographer is Chris Tastani. So we're going after like the big awards. It's also like a lot of content about culture. So a lot of stuff that we talked about, actually, it's been top of mind, because that's where I'm writing most of the kind of like the ideas part, and Richard is kind of like helping narrate it. Is that food is just one of the many ways you can bridge people, and you're able to use the book as kind of like an illustration or a metaphor for how you can get people that are different to get along. It's gonna take a while. I mean, it's pretty ambitious. I don't even know if we're gonna get there. I mean, who knows? What if we don't finish the book?
That's true.
But that's what we're aiming for.